Welcome to the Thursday edition of The World Today. I am Amarachi Ubani. So let's take a look at the stories today. We'll begin with that attack that happened in Canada's Parliament yesterday evening. Prime Minister Stephen Harper says his country will not be intimidated in its anti-terror efforts. Let's remember this attack happened shortly after the country raised its terror alert from low to medium. The attacker had been reportedly firing shots at the National War Museum before running into the National Parliament, where police were quite unsure how many gunmen were in that building. But the Parliament has returned to work. It opened with applause for the sergeant at arms and a moment's silence for the soldier who was killed by a gunman yesterday. The police in the country are investigating the shooting, and the Voice of America's Latika Hockey reports that U.S. and Canadian Air Forces have been put on high alert following that attack.
You find out what profile this is?
Gunshots were echoing in the neo-Gothic halls of the Canadian Parliament Wednesday as police chased the gunman who stormed the building after killing a soldier. One of the attackers was shot down, and police searched for at least two more believed to be on the run. Canadian Prime Minister Stephen Harper was swiftly taken to safety. The gunman ran into the Parliament after shooting a soldier at the National War Museum in Ottawa. Police and witnesses, including Parliament members, said they heard about 10 shots before the police moved in.
Well, literally, I was just taking off my jacket to go into caucus. I hear this pop, pop, pop. Possibly 10 shots, don't really know. Thought it was dynamite or construction rather than anything else.
Shots also were fired at a shopping mall near the Parliament. All three shooting sites, the War Memorial, the Parliament and the mall, are less than a kilometer from each other. Wednesday's shooting occurred 2 days after an Islamic convert attacked two Canadian soldiers in Quebec province. One of the soldiers died and police killed the gunman. Witnesses to Wednesday's shooting in Canada's peaceful capital expressed disbelief.
Everybody was just in shock. Couldn't believe that something like this could just happen or be real. It was just beyond realism.
Ottawa police say they have deployed all available resources to ensure the safety of citizens.
And all measures have been taken to ensure the safety and security of our residents. We are very aware of the large presence of military personnel in our community, and I want them to know that we are committed to their safety.
President Barack Obama telephoned Canadian Prime Minister Harper and later told reporters the United States is ready to help its neighbor and ally. The United States also has boosted security at its embassy in Canada. The State Department says all embassy employees have been accounted for.
We are currently restricting the movement of embassy personnel as a precautionary measure.
Canadian authorities have yet to determine the motive for the Wednesday shooting, which came as Canadian warplanes prepared to join the U.S.-led operation bombarding Islamist militants in Iraq.
In the meantime, a man who jumped the White House fence yesterday has been arrested. The 23-year-old Nigerian, identified to be Nigerian that is, was attacked by dogs before being arrested in the latest security breach at the president's official residence. Dominic Adesoya was stopped on a lawn near the building. He was unarmed. This comes just a month after a man, also armed with a knife, scaled the fence and made it inside the White House. So that raises questions about White House security. That raised questions about White House security, which led to the resignation of the head of the Secret Service, Julia Pearson.
I saw somebody coming down from the top of the fence and landing. Immediately, I had seen 5 and possibly 6 Secret Service on the inside of the fence swarm him with flashlights and batons out from where I saw, it's a good distance. Maybe arms were drawn, but that I definitely did. I not positively saw.
Let's understand more. The latest concerning this, I'm being joined via Skype by the VOA's John Walker from the office in Washington, D.C. John, thank you for joining us on The World Today to talk about this. I mean, it was barely a month. I think I was in the U.S. when the other incident happened. The young man who scaled the fence and entered into the White House and was on his way to the East Wing when he was caught by Secret Service. But this is quite curious, isn't it? Another man jumping the White House fence.
Oh yes, it's a very curious incident, and of course it happened on the same day as the shooting in Ottawa. The first incident happened back on September 19th, and that man actually got into the White House. Now the gentleman yesterday, Dominic Adesanya, he's a 23-year-old man from Maryland, which is is adjacent to the border of Washington, D.C. Now, this is his second trip to the White House, we've learned, and media talking to the man's father says his son has mental issues and that he hears voices. Now, Dominic didn't make it into the White House. He entered on the south lawn. He was jumped by two police dogs. He punched one dog and he kicked the other dog before he was subdued by officers.
That's right, Jonah. I found the story a bit hilarious. I'm sorry, because first of all, he got over the fence and then he was attacked by a dog and then kicked the dog. It really does call into question security at the White House. You'd expect there to be, security agents swarming the area. I mean, you really can't get close to the White House fence on a normal day, much less in the middle of the night, jumping over and then making your way towards the building itself?
That's correct, and this is very embarrassing for the Secret Service because after the September 19th incident, as you said earlier, the Secret Service director had to resign, and now they have an interim Secret Service director. But it is embarrassing, though the response this time was much quicker. I mean, as soon as Mr. Adesanya hit the ground, the dogs were on him, and he didn't get more than a few feet or a few meters before the agents were able to tackle him and subdue him. Now, the gentleman was unarmed. That's important to note, but yet he's charged with felonies for assaulting to the two dogs, and he's charged with making threats to the president.
And has there been any response from the White House yet concerning this? I mean, 2 incidents in less than a month.
Well, there were a lot of questions today for the White House spokesperson, and clearly there was a sense of embarrassment, but their response is that the Secret Service did its job by catching this man. It's important to note that the president was home. He was in the White House yesterday when this incident happened.
Well, John, I guess we'd have to leave it there and hope that there won't be any more people jumping the fence of the White House. I mean, I'd suggest, though, that probably the fences become, I don't know, electrified, I guess, so that to discourage people who want to take a joy jump over the White House fence.
Well, there is talk about expanding the whole perimeter around the White House, closing more streets, and so people will be further and further away from the president's house. A lot of people resist that because of, America is supposed to be a free society, and you should be able to see the president's house from a reasonable distance. I'll leave you with one note. Both dogs were injured. Both dogs were treated by a vet, but both dogs are going to be okay. But it is a curious incident, and we'll keep following it for you.
Well, thanks a lot, John, for your reporting. We do hope, you keep safe. I mean, at first it's the White House, and it could be anyone, I guess. Thanks a lot.
Oh, Amber,
John Walker with the VOA reporting on the latest incident at the White House of a man jumping the fence and getting close to the building. Only this time, he didn't get that far. We'll take a break now on The World Today. When we come back, we're looking at other stories, especially in the Middle East. where Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, accuses the Palestinian president of incitements, which comes after a baby was killed in Jerusalem. Please join us again.